Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive? Today we're tackling something pretty close to my heart, and I bet yours too.
Ooh, let me guess.
It's the future of notebooks.
You had me at notebooks.
Yeah, right. I mean, who isn't obsessed with a good notebook? And to get us started, we've got excerpts from Notebooks for the Next Generation. What will sell in 2025 and beyond?
Catchy title.
Right. It's by Leo Shia, who, if you don't know, is the CEO of Lion Paper Products.
Oh, wow. So we're getting insights straight from the source.
Exactly. So we'll be pulling from that article to uncover some of the big trends that are shaping the future of notebooks.
I'm all ears.
Okay, so first up, Shia dives into sustainability, and
That's huge right now.
definitely.
Yeah.
It's not just a trend anymore, it's like a core value for a lot of people. There was a Nielsen survey back in 2023 that found something like 73% of consumers.
Wow, 73%.
Yeah, they're willing to pay more for sustainable options.
That's a pretty clear message.
Right. And Shia doesn't just stop at materials.
Mm.
He really emphasizes this need for transparency throughout the whole process.
Makes sense. People want to know where things come from and how they're made.
Exactly. It's about knowing the story behind your notebook, from the sourcing to the production. It's like conscious consumerism, making choices that align with your values.
Definitely. But even with something like paper, there are so many factors to think about. Like, sure, recycled paper is great, but the recycling process itself.
Yeah, it uses a lot of energy and water, right?
Exactly. So it's important to remember there can be trade-offs even when we're trying to be more sustainable.
That's a really good point. It's not as simple as just swapping out materials. Then you've got the inks, the
It's
binding.
a whole chain of production to consider.
Totally. It makes you wonder, what are some of the innovations out there? Shia mentions companies exploring alternative sources like agricultural waste or fast-growing bamboo.
Interesting. I've even heard about inks made from algae.
Algae ink. That's wild. It really shows you how much innovation is happening. So it's not just swapping materials, it's rethinking the whole process. Now, thinking about your own choices,
Hmm.
what kind of features would make you want to pick up a notebook knowing it's truly sustainable?
For me, it'd be knowing the entire life cycle is minimized. From how they got the materials to how the notebook is designed to be like reused or disposed of at the end of its life.
It's about closing the loop.
Yeah, exactly. And transparency is key. If a company's open about all of that, it makes me feel a lot better about my purchase.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on, Shia's next trend is all about customization and personalization.
Mm-hmm.
He calls it the power of me.
Oh, I like that.
Right. It's like
Yeah.
this need to break free from mass-produced stuff and create something that feels unique, you know?
Totally. It's like we all want our tools to reflect our own personalities.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And Shia talks about how this is showing up big time in the notebook world. We're seeing a rise in custom designs and these things called modular planners. Have you ever used one?
I have. I think they're a really cool concept, especially for people who like to, switch up their planning systems or who have really specific needs.
I gotta admit, I'm a little fuzzy on what a modular planner actually is. Can you break it down for me?
Sure. Basically, it's like a planner system where you can actually swap out different sections. You're not stuck with a pre-designed layout. You pick and choose the elements you want.
So you could have like a calendar section, some project management pages, to-do lists, maybe even some blank pages for sketching.
Exactly. It's all about flexibility and making the planner work for you.
Wow, I'm kind of blown away by that.
Yeah.
And Shia mentions notebooks with swappable pages too.
Oh, yeah, those are cool. So you can switch up the whole purpose of your notebook depending on what you're working on.
It's like a multi-tool for your thoughts.
I like that. A multi-tool for your thoughts.
So we're seeing notebooks that can adapt right along with us.
And speaking of adapting, Shia's next trend is all about bridging the gap between technology and tradition. He acknowledges that we're all using digital note-taking apps these days.
Which can be super convenient.
Absolutely. But there's still something special about a physical notebook, that tactile experience.
100% agree. So I guess the question is, how do we get the best of both worlds?
Right. Can we have our cake and eat it too?
Shia mentions these smart notebooks that sync with apps like Evernote or Google Drive.
I've actually tried a few of those. Some even let you erase your handwritten notes and reuse the pages.
Wait, really? Reusable pages?
Yep, it's pretty cool.
That's combining the sustainability we talked about with tech integration. That's amazing. But imagine even beyond that, like, what if notebooks could automatically back up your handwritten notes to the cloud?
Ooh. Or integrate with project management apps.
Right. Your notebook could basically become a seamless part of your digital life.
That's where I think things are headed. We're going to see more and more of a blurring between the physical and digital.
I'm excited to see where it goes.
All this talk about technology and notebooks makes you wonder if it's all positive.
It's a good question. We've been talking about a lot of cool innovations,
Right.
but there are always two sides to the coin. Like, how do we make sure we're not losing the essence of what makes a notebook so special in the first place?
Exactly. And one thing that really struck me from Shia's article was how he talked about notebooks becoming more than just organizational tools.
I think I know what you mean.
It's like they're becoming platforms for self-expression, creativity, even personal growth.
Yeah. It's like your notebook becomes a reflection of your inner world.
And that's a really powerful idea.
It is. Especially in a world where so much is digital,
Mhm.
having that physical space to capture your thoughts and ideas,
It feels different.
it does. It feels almost, I don't know, sacred. It's a way to slow down and really connect with yourself.
Absolutely. And with all the customization and personalization we were talking about,
Right.
you can create a notebook that truly feels like an extension of you.
And then Shia brings up this whole trend of wellness and mindfulness being integrated into notebooks.
Ooh, interesting.
It's like goodbye to-do lists, hello, self-care. Notebooks are now helping us track our habits, practice gratitude.
I've seen some that even have mindfulness exercises built in.
Right. It's like having a little life coach tucked into your bag.
Yeah.
And it ties into that minimalism trend we were talking about, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, and in a world that feels so cluttered and chaotic.
People want simplicity.
Exactly. They want to strip away all the excess and focus on what truly matters.
So it makes sense that notebook designs are shifting, too.
Definitely. We're seeing cleaner lines, more functional layouts, materials that feel natural and calming.
It's like creating a sense of peace and intentionality in your note-taking experience.
Exactly. Instead of a chaotic, overstuffed notebook,
It's more like a
a
sanctuary.
place to escape the noise and connect with yourself.
I love that. But going back to tech integration for a minute,
Yeah.
I'm curious, do you think there's a risk of technology overshadowing the core benefits of a physical notebook?
That's a great question. I think the key is finding a balance.
Right.
Technology should enhance the experience without distracting from it.
So like those smart notebooks that sync with Evernote or Google Drive.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on those? Do they strike the right balance?
You know, I think they can be fantastic tools, especially for people who need to integrate their handwritten notes into their digital workflow.
Right, like if you're constantly switching back and forth.
Exactly. Imagine jotting down an idea on paper and then instantly sharing it with your team.
Or adding it to your project management system.
It's all about breaking down those barriers between inspiration and action.
That's so true. But at the same time, I guess the challenge is making sure the technology doesn't become the main focus.
Right. You don't want to lose that sense of presence and flow that comes with writing by hand.
Exactly. You shouldn't be so busy syncing and uploading that you forget to actually, like, think.
I think that's where good design comes in.
Right.
We need technology that works seamlessly in the background.
Enhances the experience without constantly demanding our attention.
Exactly.
It's funny, we're talking about all these futuristic notebooks, but sometimes I think back to those simple notebooks I used as a kid.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Just plain paper, a sturdy cover. There's a beauty in that simplicity.
Absolutely. Sometimes the most basic tools can be the most powerful.
It's all about finding what works best for you.
Yeah, your own needs and style.
But even with all that said, thinking about the future of notebooks is pretty exciting.
I agree.
It's amazing how this age-old tool continues to evolve.
And adapt to our changing world.
I mean, notebooks have been around for centuries.
And they're still relevant.
That says something about their power.
Your versatility.
But looking ahead, I'm curious, what other trends do you see emerging in the notebook world?
Well, I think one trend we'll definitely see more of is that emphasis on sustainability.
Yeah, we touched on that earlier.
We're already seeing recycled materials, plant-based inks, but I think those efforts will only intensify in the coming years.
Definitely. Consumers are demanding it.
Absolutely. And I think we'll also see a lot of innovation in terms of design and functionality.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, we're already seeing a lot of experimentation with different formats, binding styles, even interactive elements.
Cool.
I wouldn't be surprised to see notebooks incorporating things like augmented reality features.
Augmented reality. Wow.
Or even sensors that track your writing habits.
Whoa, that's getting really futuristic.
It is. We're just scratching the surface of what's possible.
It's like the lines between a notebook and a digital device are starting to blur.
Right. But with all that said,
Yeah.
do you ever worry that all this innovation might make us lose sight of what a notebook is really for?
Oh, that's good points.
At the end of the day, it's a tool for capturing thoughts and ideas.
It is. So I guess the challenge is making sure that all this new technology actually enhances that core purpose.
Absolutely. Innovation for innovation's sake isn't always a good thing.
Right.
The best innovations are the ones that solve real
Make
problems.
our lives better.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot between functionality and simplicity.
Between embracing new technologies and honoring the timeless essence of the notebook.
I think that's a challenge that designers and manufacturers will continue to wrestle with as we move into the future.
And it's a conversation that involves all of us, right?
Yeah, absolutely. What are your hopes and dreams for the future of notebooks? What challenges do you think we need to address?
Share your thoughts with us.
Hmm.
You can leave a comment below or find us on social media. We'd love to hear from you. Okay, so we're back. And we've covered so much ground already, talking about the future of notebooks. We've talked about all the cool innovations and trends. But I think it's important to talk about some of the potential challenges, too. Because, not every shiny new thing is automatically a good thing.
Right. Like it's easy to get excited about all these possibilities.
Exactly. But we need to be mindful about, the potential downsides as well.
Definitely. And for me, one thing that keeps coming up is the issue of sustainability. We're seeing all these companies jumping on the eco-friendly bandwagon,
Yeah.
but how do we make sure sustainability isn't just a marketing ploy?
That's such a good point. It's like, how do we know if a company is truly committed to sustainability or if they're just, greenwashing?
Exactly. And for me, it all boils down to transparency. Does the company openly share information about their supply chain?
Like where they source their materials, how they manufacture their product.
Yeah, all of that. And do they have any certifications to back up their claims?
Like the Forest Stewardship Council label.
Exact.
So it's really about doing your research, right?
Right.
Not just taking a company's word for it, but actually digging a little deeper.
Absolutely. And if you can't find the information you're looking for, don't be afraid to reach out to the company directly. Ask those tough questions.
Consumers have a lot more power than they realize. By demanding transparency and holding companies accountable, we can help drive real change in the industry.
I completely agree.
So we've talked about the sustainability challenge. But what about the tech side of things? We were talking earlier about all the ways technology can enhance the note-taking experience.
Right, but there's always that flip side.
Yeah, could it actually become a distraction?
Exactly. I mean, one of the beautiful things about a traditional notebook is its simplicity. It allows us to focus without all the pings and notifications we're constantly bombarded with.
Right, it's a break from all the digital noise.
Exactly. So how do we make sure that technology complements the note-taking process without, taking over?
Yeah, it's a tough balance.
It is.
I think it comes down to being really intentional about the tools we choose and how we use them. Like, before adopting a new app or gadget, ask yourself,
Does this actually help me?
yeah, does it make my note-taking more efficient?
Hmm.
Or am I just adding unnecessary complexity to my life?
And I think designers have a responsibility here, too.
Okay, how so?
They need to create technology that's truly human-centered.
What do you mean by human-centered?
Technology that understands how our brains work. It should complement our natural ways of thinking and working.
I love that idea. It's like technology should be a tool that serves us, not the other way around.
Exactly. It should help us unleash our creativity, not constrain it.
It makes me think of those beautiful old-school journals, the ones that look like they hold a lifetime of stories.
Oh, yeah. Those are special.
But do you think there's a risk that with all this focus on customization and personalization, we might lose that sense of timelessness?
That's an interesting thought. Will future generations treasure a modular planner that's been, taken apart and reassembled a million times? Or a smart notebook where the pages have been digitally erased over and over again?
It's hard to say. I guess time will tell.
But maybe that's part of what's so fascinating about all of this. Notebooks are adapting to reflect how we live now.
In this fast-paced digital world?
Exactly. And who knows, maybe those evolving notebooks will tell a whole new kind of story, one that's just as meaningful in its own way.
It's like, instead of clinging to the past, we're embracing the present and looking to the future with, open minds and open notebooks.
Exactly. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap things up. But before we do, we'd love to hear from you. What are your hopes and dreams for the future of notebooks? What challenges do you think we need to address?
Share your thoughts with us in the comments or on social media. We're all part of this conversation. And that's it for this deep dive into the future of notebooks. It's been a fascinating exploration, thinking about trends and innovations and, that ever-evolving relationship between technology and tradition.
I've really enjoyed this conversation.
Me too. And until next time, keep those pencils sharp and those ideas flowing.